Okay, so I went ahead with a few things. I made the linkages for the rear and the front. Now, I had to do a few things. Those tie rods are not perfect. They're a little, the ones for the rear are a little short. Either that or they're all a little short. I had to use these longer RPM ball cups. I did drill them all out, as you can see with this one. It's easy enough to do, just drill them from the inside. It requires a teeny bit of cleanup with an X-Acto knife afterwards, but it yields a good result. I haven't switched all the ball studs yet. I'm waiting for some longer ones to come in so I can use some aluminum nuts because the threads are different than the stock ones, so these nuts won't work. But as far as screwing them into solid blocks of plastic like this, they work just fine. As you can see, they work very nicely. The action is incredibly smooth. The arms move great. Of course, you know, getting all these kingpins to work well was a big factor. The arms do, like I said, move very smoothly. The fronts work great. I'm starting to work on the steering linkages. One thing I don't like about this kit is this front end that you can narrow up. It's got 2 mounting holes here and 2 holes here. The problem is that the steering linkages themselves will only work with the front end long. If you try to use it short, they don't fit, so there must be another set of these for a different kit. Maybe this is for the buggy and it's shorter and they give you a different set of these. I'll find out when I build the buggy, we'll see. But that's with the gold pan, so it's a different anodizing process because this is obviously a black pan. I thought the original was a single piece. Maybe it was back then. I don't know. In any event, small changes I'm making. Right off the bat here with these, I am using a 2mm aluminum spacer. These are an Associated product. It's a ball stud washer, 5.5 by 3 by 2mm thickness. You can use them with the stock ball studs if you wish. I'm using these with the ball studs that I showed you previously. I don't have the card handy, but if you watch the previous videos, you'll see it. I like being able to remove these if I need to. Now, putting this spacer in here in the center connection isn't going to have any effect. Putting it here may have an effect on bump steer, so I will need to put a spacer out here on either side to change or equalize the angle on the arm. Now, the thing is, the reason for that I'm doing this is that, number one, I don't want them protruding, the stock one or the ones that I'm switching over protrude from the plastic by about 2mm exactly. And so let me try to do this for the camera here. If the stock one is sitting through there, it is protruding by that much. And that's a lot. It's more than enough for it to potentially catch on the aluminum pan as the swing arm is coming back in during steering action. If that happens, your steering is going to lock up or stutter as it catches and then maybe freeze up. that would be really bad. It would lead to inconsistent steering and the car not being controllable. If it locks up altogether and sticks like that, you're not going to be able to return to center from a turn, and that would be really bad. The 2mm spacer makes a perfectly smooth surface, but it lets you get threads through the entire plastic, so it's perfect. Nice and smooth. I highly recommend making that change. Just get one pack of them. It's more than enough. I think they're either 10 or a dozen in a package. And so you'll need one for the outer connection and 2 here, so 6 altogether. But that way you don't have to worry about these things rubbing somewhere or catching once they, like when you turn, this is going to swing outside the chassis. As it comes back in, it could potentially catch, and that would not be a good thing at all. So do it. The main thing I don't like about this is that you've only got 3 screws, the center one and your 2 steering mechanism screws holding this entire front end of the chassis onto the pan. I'm seriously considering using some epoxy, something like JB Weld, in addition to these screws, just a little bit of it, a thin layer to bond the chassis together. Because even with Loctite holding those 3 screws, they could potentially loosen, and that would allow the front end to jiggle around, and that would lead to all kinds of inconsistency in handling. And once these screw areas start to fail, the threads start to loosen, you're never going to fix them. So I think I'm going to do it. In fact, I know I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Period. Done. Decided. I'm going to do it now, since I'm going to be putting these things on now. I did take the 2 ball cups that I was going to use for the center linkage here, and as you can see, I've cut them down in size a little bit because I wanted to keep these closer together. I wanted to make sure they had enough swing, so I don't want these to be spread out further than they're going to need to go. I want them to be as properly aligned as possible. If they have to be a teeny bit towed out from each other, that's fine. It's not going to matter. But I certainly don't want them like this because the ball cups are longer. In fact, if they're a little closer together, that's fine too. But let's just see how it looks right now. I can test align them right now. So laying these out over their mounting holes, I think I will tighten those in a little bit. You know, now that turnbuckle looks pretty much just the right length. I eyeballed that pretty good. I could bring them in a little bit on each other. They're going to be pretty close to these, but I think it was a good idea to have those spacers in place. Definitely. We'll see if there's any interference issues there. It's possible the ball cups could be a little close to each other. You know, close doesn't count like it does with hand grenades or nuclear weapons. With RC or any kind of mechanical stuff, engineering, close only counts if it's on top of each other. If they don't touch, they don't touch. So I might need to take out the inner spacers and go down to a 1 millimeter and have a little bit of screw head out for the inner ones, because the inner ones are unlikely to travel outside of the chassis. So that might not be as big an issue. And that's one of the nice things about having these the holes in the top and having the Allen heads, is being I can just stick a wrench down, pull that out, switch a spacer, screw it back in. I will be switching these these nylon pieces out for aluminum. Another thing, I believe the tension for the servo saver, you should level this aluminum nut, it's not really a nut, it's a thumb screw, to the top of this, but I've got mine tightened further. I'll probably tighten it down as far as I can, finger tightening, because I don't want a servo saver. You may not either. If you have a servo that has all metal gears, a modern servo, you don't need a servo saver. Servo savers have been unnecessary for quite a number of years, probably several decades. That's one thing that drives me nuts about Team Associated, their old kits, was that mix and match hardware. I guess I will just have to use ye old crescent wrench. I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on it from the side to make sure that I don't press down on these, because I want to make sure they stay moving smoothly. Okay. Okay, there you go. It's not loose. I would prefer to have a more fluid action, like I could just touch it, but it is still very smooth. The arms are not loose. But they have a teeny bit of vertical slack in them, so I know they're not binding. Since they are so close to the servo linkage, there shouldn't be any issue. They're not binding up anywhere or touching anything, so we should be good to go. Time to mount the servo. And as I mentioned early in the video, I'm going to be using a torque servo instead of a speed servo on this one, but it's still a high-speed servo. These Protec servos are fantastic. The only thing I wish they could be, other than the way they are, is programmable. Kind of taken a liking to that. They do come with pretty long cables. In a couple instances, I have shortened the cables, but it's really not worth it. It's a minuscule amount of weight to try to remove, even on a really high-performance road car. You're better off just narrowing up. Saving the weight somewhere else, and just fold the cable up on itself a couple of times and zip tie it or twist tie it. And it's nice, they do come with a metal arm in the package. They come with mounting hardware and all kinds of knickknacks. So You can buy metal arms for them. I think they're standard 25 tooth. And we covered everything there. As long as we're down to this point, why don't we go ahead and finish mounting these things. Do the servo in a minute. These are really nice. I just found these. They come in 2 different heights. Rude Dog makes some nice products. I got one of their servos not too long ago. It also serves as a shock stand for when you're rebuilding shock absorbers. I use a different thing for that. Usually if I'm rebuilding the shocks, I've got the car on the stand anyway, so I don't want to mix and match. In other words, I don't want to use the car stand as a shock rebuilding stand. But as a car stand, it's very nice. It's solid aluminum. You know, it's been bent or formed one way or another. Might even be hydroformed. It's hard to tell. But it's solid. It's not flexible. It's not too heavy at the same time. It comes with the rubber rails already stuck on. It's got good solid rubber feet. I like it. Holds the car nicely. It does what it's designed to do. Now I would use titanium hardware for these, but because they are threaded, some of them may have pass-through hardware, like the front connection, I'm not sure. But the back connection here at the body, I believe is going to use a threaded piece of hardware. Yeah, so I've got to use the hardware that comes with the kit. 440 by 14, or by quarter inch, excuse me. Now the other piece, I could probably, the other end I could probably use a pass-through piece of aluminum hardware or titanium. Let me see. Let me see, is this threaded at both ends? Okay, we need two 440 by half inchers. And then we need some 3/8 hardware. Where is the 3/8? It should stand out because it should be narrower than the 440. No, it is 440, but wait a minute. It is 440, but how does that? Okay. That is not cool. Okay, guys, here's a big problem. There's a pair of these rods. They're supposed to anchor up here, pass through here, and anchor to here on the inside. The problem is, look at that. It touches the steering right here. So I'm going to need to bend this outward slightly. No two ways about it. Not a lot, but it's got to come out a little bit. Okay. It is now close, but no contact. Now there's a long end and a short end. The end with the hole closer to the front needs to go to the front of the car. The end that is longer goes to the rear. This is going to need a little Loctite. Anytime you're doing metal on metal, generally you need a little Loctite. That one doesn't need to be that long. Maybe I grabbed 3/4 inch. And I guess there's only so many sizes here. Now this one you don't need to make tight, just get it to make contact here with the plastic. It's not necessary, it's just got to anchor it. So may have to bend that out a little more later. It's not making contact now, but it feels like it could do so again later. going to go ahead and use some titanium again on these. Now, the mounting hole should be left and right. Now, one thing that I normally do is test the servo and make sure it is centered using a servo tester, which I'm not 100% sure where it is. I'm not completely unpacked. So for right now, I'm just gonna line it up center, and I will test it out later. If it's not centered, I will simply unscrew the servo arm and reattach it. That can't be the correct screw. They gave us 3, all the same size. I'll just use a piece of titanium hardware. Sometimes people ask in comments where I got all this hardware. Pretty simple. Got it from different manufacturers. Some of it I got on Amazon. You just look for places that have hardware in various sizes, and you buy them in bulk. It can be pretty expensive, but you acquire it over time, a little here, a little there, and you know, it just builds up. And then when you're building up a kit, you know, you got it. It's like anything in this hobby. You just kind of acquire it. I'm not going to use any of that. Let's see. These things are great. These little servo washers, they fit right in these holes, and they're much more solid amount than the rubber grommets. The rubber grommets are great for airplanes if you think you need some flexibility. Again, you really don't, not with metal gear. And you wouldn't use this on an aircraft anyway. I really don't know why they provide this type of hardware anymore. I've never seen anybody use it, especially with screws like that on a car. I mean, who would use this on an airplane? It's way too heavy, but whatever. Those are a little long. I'm going to go ahead and dip into the titanium again. Those aren't going to go through far enough. I guess I will use these. Yeah, but that's going to come through into the mounting hole, so can't use that there. See, that's one of the things about this hobby is there's so many things you've kind of just got to figure out for yourself that the manufacturer doesn't allow for, or they didn't take into account, because, you know, not all servos are the same. Not all hardware is the same. When these things were made, servos were totally different. They were much larger, mostly made of plastic. That's interesting. They have a magnet glued inside either side of this thing, so you can use it to like pick up parts. If you drop something, it's gonna like roll off the side. It's gonna catch. It's kind of neat. Of course. This is a 1/16 wrench Allen head if you're in need. I don't know if it's still available. Team Associated sold a set of mixed Allen and metric Allen wrenches and hex head wrenches. And it was pretty much everything you needed for all of their cars of, you know, back in the day when they still had mixed hardware. And I bought a set of those forever ago, and I still have them. And as you can see, they are still coming in handy today. I can't tell you the last time I used this particular wrench. But once again, it is coming in useful. I haven't decided which radio I'm going to use with this. My DX6 or my Noble NB4. I really like this radio. I love the way it feels. It's a lot heavier, but that's one of the nice things about it, is that solid feel. Even though I am a lefty, I still drive right-handed. Just had to get used to it over the years. But it is a really nice radio, and I've got receivers for both of them, and I've got some of the new one of the things about this is the frequency hopping, so you don't have to worry about interference from other transmitters. And the DX6, some of the new receivers have a similar feature where you don't have to worry about interference. They also, both of them are extremely low latency. I think right now the DX6 has the lowest latency at like 5.5 milliseconds. Or maybe I'm thinking about the Noble. Sorry, it's kind of late in the evening. But if you're interested in knowing which one I'm talking about, go look up the specs and check them out. They're both very good radios. I've actually got FlySky flight radio, and I fly Spectrum radios also. I've got a couple, and I'm very pleased with them. So, you know, all the good manufacturers today make very nice stuff. It's kind of a matter of preference these days versus, you know, and features. Which features are most important to you? So, you know, what's better than another? You know, it's not worth arguing about anymore. They're so close, and you know, a lot of it comes down to feel, preference, personal experience. So I'm going to break off for a second, check on paint. It's probably time to put another coat of paint on the body, and when I come back, I'm probably going to dive into the transmission or shocks.